Hi guys, Lindsay here with Storybook Family Farm. So recently we've had quite a bit of crazy weather. Last week there was a really bad windstorm that brought with it a lot of rain and stuff, which was really nice because it was warmer when that windstorm happened. So it got to show us basically how drafty our windows are and how unprepared our barn is. I gotta do something about this chicken, hold on. Big Bird, just calm down, girlfriend. Calm down. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. Silkies are very dramatic chickens. But, so the wind has been crazy, and it showed us just how drafty the windows are at our house and how much we needed to make fortifications to the barn before any sort of major storm rolled through. So a couple days after that bad windstorm, we got notifications on our phone about, that the weather was going to get really drastically cold in a few days, and there would also be a lot more wind, which makes it so the wind chill is way stinking colder. The one day, I think it said the lows are expected to be 1 degree, but it's supposed to still be windy. So the real feel is probably going to be closer to like negative 15 or 20 or so. So that's just absolutely bitterly cold. So what we ended up doing was we moved Wilbur, our intact male goat, and Ferdinand, his companion. We moved them into the barn here. So then that way they are protected from the elements more. Because there was just, I kept brainstorming it, and there was literally no way that I could make it so that way their hut, their little shelter that I made, could ever possibly be kept warm enough and keep them out of the wind enough to keep them safe. Because at those temperatures, goats can handle pretty cold temperatures, but if they don't have a place to get out of the wind, they don't have a way to keep warm, even if it is much warmer out. So the other things that have been going on here, the goats are currently kind of playing together right off camera. So the other thing that's been going on here is on last Tuesday, which is when the first bout of bad weather came through, a falcon decided that it wanted to taste chicken. So we've lost 3 hens, 2 of which, well, the one, she just started laying kind of like this summer, so it was a really big blow to lose her as a layer because she was still laying throughout the winter time. She was one of the few that's been laying. She got nabbed. An older hen got nabbed, which was really sad for Lucky, our goat, because that was his best friend. She used to sleep with him and stuff. And I have pictures on my phone of her actually being perched on his back while he was eating hay. They were thick as thieves, so he was pretty bummed about that. And then the one that just got nabbed last night was one of the little ones that we had incubated the eggs for in the springtime. Well, it was actually the summertime, and they had just started laying in the past few weeks. She got nabbed, so that was really devastating. So we've been, another chicken also almost got nabbed, but luckily Willie was outside splitting wood, and he seen it happening, so he took off running and screaming, scared the falcon away. And I know a lot of people would probably think, just shoot the dang thing, it's killing your livestock, but it's actually a protected bird, so we can't legally shoot it, otherwise we could face a $15,000 fine, and I think it's 90 days in jail. It's kind of a big deal. But we also had a raccoon get a rooster on last Tuesday when it was really super windy and bad. So we've been dealing with that. We have traps set for the coon again, and every noise that we hear, we keep running out the door to try to discourage the falcon from getting another bird. So earlier today, I was brushing my teeth in my pajama pants and slippers, and I heard the geese, the turkeys, and the roosters all start stirring and going crazy, and I knew something bad was happening. So I took off running, still in my slippers, through all the mud and the muck and everything. And we made it so that way the falcon didn't get anybody and stuff, but it'll probably come back later. So that's part of why I'm outside here, to try to, be able to hear if it's around, so that way I can try to get it convinced not to come back, which is really insanely difficult. I mean, everybody likes chicken, so. So what we did do to try to discourage that is I actually was thinking about it late last night because, the wind was really bad, couldn't sleep very well and stuff. I was awake at 3 a.m. and I was thinking about the fact that, this falcon has been around and stuff. We've seen it flying around, but this is the first time in the 9 months we've lived here that it's actually attacked anything. And I was thinking, like, what the heck has changed that all of a sudden it's coming out? But then I realized that in the past week, when the weather got really super terrible, 2 of our turkeys, they can escape their enclosure. They stopped escaping because of all the cold, the wind, the rain. They didn't want to be stuck sleeping outside, so they started staying in. So after the near miss this morning, we actually unleashed all of the turkeys, which, we raise midget whites, so they're not a super huge turkey, but they are bigger than our geese, and they can fly somewhat. And we have one that's kind of a psycho. She's actually tried to go after the intact male goat that has, horns this big and stuff. So we figure that if anybody can stop the falcon from attacking anything, it's probably that crazy turkey. So we did unleash them, so they're running amok. And then yesterday, when the windstorm really first started, we had gone. Me and Willie were working on getting things buttoned up with the barn. So this window that's behind me here, it actually has a whole bunch of panes of glass missing because somebody decided in the past that this barn would be a great target for shooting guns at. So there's bullet holes all over the barn, including a bunch of broken windows. So what I did was I took some thick plastic, almost like greenhouse plastic, and I covered it all up yesterday, just so then that way the wind couldn't whip through here as bad. And then a couple other small holes I did put plastic over top of to try to make it so the wind can't just rip through here. But so after we got that done, we decided to bring the ducks and the geese into the barn because they were all super sketched out and super cold, and they didn't want to be out there anymore, which says a lot because ducks are like the postmen, like the mail workers and stuff, that motto of, rain, hail, sleet, or snow, we're still going to deliver your mail. Yeah, that's how ducks are. They always want to be outside, even if it's really terrible. But so anyways, they must have known that things were going to get spooky because they were all at the gate begging for us to let them in. So we went outside to let them in, and this huge gust came. We've been having sustained wind speeds of 40, 45 miles an hour for the last 24 hours. But yesterday was when it really picked up and got really intense. But so a huge gust came, and it was probably about 70 miles an hour. It was insane. Willie, our son, he's a bigger boy. He's 16, and he's, just a bigger dude. He almost fell over because the wind was that strong and stuff. But so when that big gust of wind came, I actually seen a tree that's by the front yard. It's actually kind of close to the house. It's been dead. There's no bark on it and stuff. I've been admiring it since we bought the place because it's so beautiful looking. It's a locust tree, but it looks almost like a sycamore because all of the bark has come off and it's weathered really nice, and it's really pretty. But that tree actually fell down, and where the tree was at, it would be really difficult for somebody with a chainsaw to cut the tree down without damaging something and stuff. But yet somehow the wind managed to take the tree down, carry it down, set it down in a way that completely missed the house. It flew in a direction that, it was like an act of God how it came down and stuff. The only other trees that it actually injured were 2 small locust trees that, were maybe that big around and stuff. So the one will probably be able to recover from it because it just kind of got topped, and then the other one, it snapped it off at the ground level. But so it was definitely a huge blessing to have that tree come down, because I had been looking at it and I was like, I don't know how we're even going to cut this. It really ought to come down, because this was literally the day before yesterday that I was looking at it, and I was like, this tree really ought to come down because there's a high probability that it would probably fall to the house and hit the house, and I don't want to deal with that. But I kept looking at it and I'm like, there's not really a good way to take this tree down safely without, because it hung up in a bunch of other trees. And, there's that little clubhouse thing in our front yard that's on stilts, that would probably get smashed. And then if it smashed that, it would smash the house. There's all these things in the way of taking this tree down safely and stuff. And then the wind managed to just drop it perfectly. It's touching other trees, the main big part of the trunk and stuff, the first 20 feet, 30 feet of it is, at least this big around. And so it's actually touching a couple other trees, but it landed on the ground with only damaging 2. So, it was just absolutely amazing because it's probably a 75-foot tall tree. It's just mind-blowing how it fell so perfectly into everything and stuff. And the tree was also right along the property line. So, I mean, there's so many margins for error with that sort of a thing, but it just boop, perfectly laid down, which is a huge blessing for us because we've actually been really stressed out because we know that we don't have enough wood here to last us for the rest of the winter time. So with that tree falling down, it is perfectly seasoned, completely dry. There's no rot to it at all because it's been standing upright and stuff. So that tree alone is probably enough for like 2 or 3 months worth of firewood because it's locust. So that is a huge, huge, huge blessing for us to be able to have that tree come down where it did. So hopefully no other crazy trees come down. It was kind of funny because in the goats area, I had noticed another locust tree. There's a lot of locust here. If you aren't familiar with locust trees, they are actually really good firewood trees. They burn for a long time and they burn really hot too. So like at nighttime, we try to stoke the fire and stock up the wood burner with a bunch of locusts because then we can go, like 5-6 hours without having to get up and put more wood in, and the house stays really nice and toasty warm. But so there was a locust tree in the goat area that I had also noticed the day before yesterday that there's a small branch that's about, that big around and stuff that is dead. And I was like, well, how are we going to cut this down? Because like where it's at, it's going to hit the fence. It's going to smash stuff. It's going to be a big pain in the butt. Like, I'm not sure what to do here and stuff. Well, the wind decided that it would help me with that. It actually broke it off about 10 feet up in the air and tossed it over the fence line. So it didn't damage the fence, didn't do anything. And I was like, my God, like we are seriously being looked out for right now. So we have a lot of gratitude for this windstorm so far, that it's done some good things. No actual damages have happened here yet. But we have had some power flickering due to, the insane amount of wind knocking trees down and stuff. And that leads me to my next thing of how grateful I am that we chose to heat with wood instead of electric furnaces, or, even if we would have tried to use like a fuel oil furnace, all those things are requiring electricity. And because we opted to do the more difficult path of a wood stove, this cold front, we have not had to be stressed out or worried at all about how we're going to stay warm, which is a huge relief because when we lived in town a couple years ago, there was a really bad polar vortex that came through, and I think it was for about 2 weeks that the temperatures the highs were in like the negatives. Like it was bitterly, bitterly cold. And like our furnace could not keep up. We had blankets over every single window that we had, and they were newer windows and stuff. It was so awfully cold and stuff. And we kept being so scared that like the power would shut off and we would be frozen and stuff, and the pipes would freeze, and just so many things, when it's this cold up north and stuff, like it gets scary, it gets sketchy and stuff. And like to have that peace of mind last night, like when the power started flickering, I was like, I'm just going to get a couple extra jugs of water filled up. So then that way, if the power goes out and we can't get water from our well, we at least have drinking water for a couple of days. We have water for the animals and stuff. Like everything will be fine. We won't have to haul very much water from somewhere else. But like to have that be our only concern with it being this cold and the power flickering, like that was just such a nice peace of mind. And then also knowing too last night that like if things got really cold and lasted for a really long time, we had a whole bunch more firewood that I could go cut up. But yeah, so now we're definitely not as worried about that. But so yeah, it's been very cold. I'm actually probably going to cut this video short because of the fact that I am getting quite cold sitting here, even with having a bunch of layers on. But so we did bring up a whole bunch of wood too to put on the front porch, because we have a covered front porch. It's like a covered deck. But the wind last week on Tuesday, when we had the first initial bad windstorm with the rain and everything, all the wood that was on the deck, even the stuff that was, our deck is 16 feet wide, the stuff that was on the opposite side of the deck as the wind was coming through, it was all completely soaked. So what we did yesterday was we actually pulled in all of the wood that we had, because yesterday it did rain and it was snowing and all that stuff when the windstorm started. We did pull all that inside, so we had plenty of dry firewood to last all day yesterday and today. And then today we looked at the forecast and seeing that it's not expected to really precipitate much over the next bunch of days. So me and Willie actually grabbed a massive amount of wood to make it so then that way we don't have to worry in the super cold weather coming up in a couple days. We don't have to be outside for extended periods of time trying to grab more firewood. So that's definitely a huge blessing. But yeah, I am about frozen. My toes are pretty well numb now, and the temperature I think has probably dropped actually since I've been out here. When I woke up at 3 this morning to put wood in the fire, it was currently 45 degrees outside, and it was really windy. And by the time we got up this morning to take care of the animals and all that stuff, it had dropped like 15 degrees in 4 hours. And then now it's like low 20s, real feel of 8. So it's just, it's very cold. So hopefully we won't have any more issues with trees falling down. The wind is supposed to die down at some point tomorrow, so hopefully nothing catastrophic happens. So we've just been kind of keeping our fingers crossed and hoping that things will be okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna get off here because we actually have decided to put some more eggs in the incubator to work on replacing the hens that were lost, because inevitably we are probably going to lose more chickens due to the falcon, because even in covered areas where it tried to get that one chicken that Willie was able to stop it from nabbing, it was actually in a very covered area that, you know, everything you read online says, make sure that chickens have a whole bunch of areas that they can run underneath if a hawk flies by or falcon flies by, they can be safe. Well, this was one of them areas where that falcon came and tried to kill a chicken. So, yeah, kind of sketchy, trying to figure out what to do with this whole situation. So if you guys have any advice as to what to do that is not just trying to run out here in a dead sprint in your slippers to scare it off, please leave it in the comment section below. Like I said, we can't just do the normal Homestead thing and just done and stuff, because it is highly illegal to do that. So, but this chicken wants me to end this video. Big Bird has always got lots to say. She's got lots of personality. And we named her Big Bird because she is the biggest Soakie that we have. And with her feathers being all like poofy and stuff, it kind of reminds us of Sesame Street. But yeah, so if you guys are enjoying this content, please give this video a thumbs up. Share it with your friends on social media. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to help us grow. We'd greatly appreciate it. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.